Good morning, Shane. Good
Morning.
morning, Karishma.
Good morning, Nisha.
Today we have this workshop on managing risks and liabilities in the pharmaceutical and food and beverage sector. And Kennedy's is being our principal sponsor. You're also addressing on product recall insurance. So I'll just have two questions for you. To you, Karishma, as a leading London law firm, do you see increased level of risk that the Indian manufacturing companies are facing with respect to claims abroad?
Absolutely, Nisha. With Indian companies expanding and being far more involved with exports, the fact is that around 10% of all product recalls in Europe through the European notification system known as RAPEX actually involve products from India. And as we're all aware, most recently we've seen the recent instant noodle recall, voluntary recall involving an Indian manufacturer, and also the pharmaceutical product drug claims most recently in the States. So definitely it's very evident.
Sure. Shane, could you tell me that how can Indian companies ensure that they're properly defended against these foreign claims?
Well, there's a number of things that can be done that are very important for the companies. I mean, the first is that most of their liabilities will arise out of supplying goods out of India. Right. And those supplies will be subject to contracts. So it's very, very important that they readdress their contracts and look and see what those contracts can do for them. Mm-hmm. If they're a minor part in the contract, in other words, if the person they're supplying is the major player, they will try to impose indemnities upon the Indian company. Mm-hmm. But the Indian company has every right in the world to look to do certain things to help itself. One is to limit the value of their exposure in the contract. That's normal in Europe and is often enforceable. So if you're an Indian manufacturer of a small part of equipment, let's say that's attached to a transformer, and the transformer were to explode, the claim could be worth hundreds of thousands or £1 million if it damages a facility. And they'll come to look to you if it's your component. But if you have a proper limitation of liability to the value of the goods supplied, then you've done a great deal to protect your interest. Other than contracts, there's the question of insurance. And whilst most people are aware of having insurance, companies need to consider the possibility of product recall cover. It's expensive, and it's not something people think of. But if you do have a very good look at the cost of a recall, and we just saw this last week with the noodle case, the announcement by Nestle to the stock exchange that it was going to cost in excess of $50 million to undertake this. Now, you've got the cost of the product itself, but what people don't realize, you have to then go out and get the product, bring it back, store it, count it, destroy it, and then you have a situation in how long does it take you to be able to make sure the product's safe to get back into the market again. There's a delay. And then finally, you have an enormous damage to your reputation. So it's very, very important to consider the possibility of product recall coverage. And the final thing is to make sure that they know about their product if there's a claim. And that means making very good records on batches of product that they sell, and also have very good records of what they buy by way of ingredients. So let's just say, for example, you did have a food product, and let's say that as a consequence that food product is found to be contaminated. Right. You want to do two things. You want to know which batches of the product are contaminated, so to limit the exposure, and you need to know who supplied you potentially with the bit that contaminated your product, so that you may be able to isolate that as well.
True. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Shane and Karishma, I look forward for your session this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.